Hello, welcome to Football is Nice. We pre-recorded this last week because I had to go on holiday. I'm not telling you where. It's a fantastic episode. You're going to love it. Little talks about Wingle Pickers. Gareth tells a wonderful story. Well, you're going to listen to it in a minute. You don't need to be set up that much. Gareth and I wear our football shirts now, innit, don't we, Gareth?
Yeah. I'm actually going to take my jacket off.
Yeah, I don't know why you put your jacket back on after you put on your Hull City top.
Maybe because I wanted this moment.
Right,
the big reveal. What do you think, Ross?
It's a cool coloured kit. Yeah. I love it. I love the orange and black of Hull City. But I will say that tiger depicted in the badge doesn't look like a tiger, does it? It's like an otter.
Yeah, it's a strange... There's been a lot of controversy about the Hull City badge over the last few years.
Because it's like a stripy otter.
Well, it's a strange one. So Hull, obviously, the owners wanted to, for a while, call us, Tigers, which was ridiculous, and that's where they lost half the fan base. And then they got rid of Hull City, the words Hull City from the badge, which obviously caused another. It's like getting rid of how much of your badge would you be happy to lose? None of it.
Of course, what happened with the West Ham badge when that castle was took away is there was the reminder that, hold on, it was originally these hammers in the first place, and the addition of the castle. I don't actually, I don't know the history of when the castle was added and when the castle was taken away, but I suppose the games, it shows you how potent the symbols are. Like, it shouldn't really matter, should it? People get really up in arms if you do something to the kit. If you what about when United wore that sort of grey kit or something like that? And I think it was Southampton. It's the kit. We look like idiots in this kit.
I mean, that was Ferguson, wasn't it, who actually believed that the kit was at fault?
It was bothering him. The greatness has a component to it that is not rational. And I think that Ferguson was yielding to an aspect of himself there that was like, it's like Kurt's doing it. Enraged him a little bit.
It would be a nice link to talk about Man U Southampton at the weekend, but I'll bang on about this kit a little bit more. Anyway, just to follow up, Hull City is now back on the badge. Which
I can see that.
Fans are much happier about. And as fans, we got a say in the design of the new badge.
How did you have your personal say?
Yeah, I stopped my say, and they didn't go with my option.
What did you say?
I think the tiger was an issue for me. It's always been a bit of an issue. Sometimes the tiger looks more angry than other times, and this is a kind of less angry tiger.
The problem with that tiger there, mate, is it looks like it's going, hello, I'm the Hull City Tiger.
This tiger looks more like Cringer in He-Man. I don't know if
it looks like Cringer from He-Man,
rather than Battle Cat.
Yes, right. It's
pre and post. Yeah,
because when he's Cringer, he's actually an absolute goon, isn't he?
He really is.
I think the makers of the cartoon were saying that what Cringer can do is it provides a foil for Adam, He-Man, in his sort of pre-priapic state. Because Adam's still sort of the same, though. It's just
he looks exactly the same.
He's also, I would say, too muscly. Like, if someone's that muscly in your life, what else are you going to talk to them about?
That's right.
Down at the castle or wherever that world was that they all lived in, the Masters of the Universe. Anyone that's that muscly, it's overwhelming.
Yeah, it is. Because the clothes looked a bit strange on him, and he always wore different coloured clothes. They were kind of pastels and things.
Pastels, but skin tight, so that you could see his abdominals. If you see someone's abdominals through their shirt, what are you saying, Adam?
Well, he was giving the game away for a start. If anyone's like, who could He-Man possibly be when he's not being He-Man? You wouldn't have to look far.
I don't remember very much if they put a great deal of investigation into finding out. Like in Superman, they sort of seem to care, and in Batman, they sort of care. He-Man, I don't think they went, who is He-Man actually, and where does he keep coming from, and what does he want with us?
No, they were very much, they had their sides, didn't they? The kind of Skeletor. They weren't...
Ram Man. Of course, there's Ram Man. Look, don't think that we don't talk about football. We do. Football is nice. I've got. Hopefully, you've reviewed the show now. Lots of people have reviewed it. Someone, I've not found it yet because, you know me, I'm sensitive. I don't like. Someone's taken the time to do a 1-star review in spite of my insistence that only 5-star reviews be done. And hopefully legislation will be passed so that all users of the internet have to put their real identity and perhaps a fingerprint, in fact, perhaps their DNA into a database. Then we'll be able to track down the person that gave us that 1-star review.
Do you think they've done that because of your insistence that it should be 5 stars?
Well, in a way, the internet Adam Curtis was telling me, because, I guess I just hang with intellectuals, I don't know, was telling me that part of the original spirit of the internet and that whole 4chan, 8chan vibe was like, this is an anonymous space. You can be who you want on here. There's a sort of a power in anonymity, as expressed in the film V for Vendetta that I watched the other day, that once you are masked, you can be anyone. And like the move to make people register their identity to use social media sites, of course, it's always under the auspices of to prevent racial abuse or child pornography or many other things that should definitely be stopped. But the more likely impact is that it'll impede people's personal freedoms. I can't stop myself, can I? I cannot stop myself.
No, you don't get this on the Football Daily.
No, you don't, with your mate Chappers and the whole host of... Well,
I wish he was.
Hosts. Well, we can get him. This one is from JT1985 Pet. Glorious and magnificent. Lovely to have a less pretentious, very funny take on the week's footy. The team didn't mention Hasenhüttl last week, whose name literally means rabbit hut. I didn't know that.
I didn't know that.
Where he's still Southampton manager. Yeah. Some people didn't like that he cried when they beat Liverpool.
They didn't like that.
Some people did, some people didn't. Where do you stand on crying if you beat Liverpool?
Go for it.
Cry.
I think we discussed this last week. Emotion. How it's always a good thing, isn't it?
I think what some people felt was that crying for beating Liverpool is not. It's not like
right. It's not enough.
Don't cry about that.
Right.
It's a bit like when I was listening to beloved Simon Jordan and the great Jim White on TalkSport talking about United and Ollie. And Simon Jordan always says, like, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer would not be a manager at City. He would not be a manager at Chelsea. He would not be a manager at Liverpool. He is not there for the right reasons. He's not an elite manager. Shouldn't be in the job. Jim White, one of his the defences he offered is Man United have got 20, the joint level unbeaten away run of 27 games with Arsenal. But that's not good enough, right? Like, there could never be a competition based around who can win or not lose the most consecutive away games. Oh, we lost at home. Doesn't matter. This is away games, this competition.
Yeah. I noticed they asked Mason Greenwood about it after the game the other day.
You're joint with Arsenal now or not losing away. What did Mason Greenwood say?
Well, he said, yeah, it's a fantastic record. We should all be very proud. But what they didn't seem to focus on was that they'd just drawn with Southampton.
That's right. It's almost like they'd prepared that story in their minds. Yeah. This is the story. And then gone, actually, you should have beaten Southampton. Yeah. But I don't know what we're not mentioning, and in spite of the fact that I'm wearing a really brilliant West Ham kit at the moment. It's actually made of quite a nice fabric, I might say.
Is it?
Please feel it.
Go on, then.
I'll feel yours.
Oh,
you feel
nice.
Mine. Your football is nice, and the fabric is nice.
Isn't as nice,
so yours is abrasive.
We're both Umbro.
Ah, Umbro.
Classic.
Good old Umbro.
Good old Umbro.
You don't really see Umbro outside of football kits, do you?
You don't really, no. And there are actually very few football kits that have still got Umbro, I think. So, yeah.
I like to say Umbro. Is it an Italian company, do you think?
I think it's owned by Nike these days, Umbro.
It's a shame, isn't it? Well, that's the relentless march of capitalism. Oh, no!
I think it was meant to be a British company, but is now being bought by Nike.
Well, whoever named it Umbro, good on them. Hey, listen, what I want to say is this. West Ham are top of the league. It's like, I'm not going to do a football, but I'm not going to be so tangential, intellectual and whimsical in our reporting on football matters. Yep. I don't mention that the team I have supported my whole life, West Ham United, are top of the league in large part thanks to a great performance from Mikel Antonio, who did a brilliant celebration where he had a cardboard cutout of himself, and even on the thing that I watched on Monday Night Football, they showed him before it, like chatting to like one of the club staff, going, right, I'll put that cutout down there.
Oh, brilliant! It was planned.
Score. Yeah, you sort of see him going, all right. I love Mikel Antonio.
Oh, he's fantastic. What a character!
Him. He was so good in his post-match interview as well. He was funny. He said, he go like Gary Neville, and they asked him, how long do you think you can keep be top six all season? will you beat you only need another 230 goals to beat Vic White's all-time record? Vic White, that must be like the 30s or 40s. I don't. You know what I mean? He goes, are you gonna? Yeah, I'm gonna do it. It's this spirit that led Mikel Antonio to dress as a snowman and drive a Lamborghini through an house. I mean, that dude's a rock star.
He really is. What a fantastic team they have at the moment. It just seems like that Moyes has just got a winning combination, hasn't he?
Do you know what I feel?
Alchemy.
Nervous. That's what it makes you feel, nervous. Like, they're too good. I don't want anything bad to happen. I love them. I love 8 goals in the first couple of games. I love that Mikel Antonio's playing so well. Bowen, Benrahma. Like, there's so many good performances throughout the team yesterday. But what I feel is nervous. I feel nervous that Declan Rice is going to leave.
Right.
Nervous.
Yeah, understandable. I mean, Rice would be the big one, wouldn't it? He's the kind of linchpin, isn't he? He holds it all together. And if he left, you would worry that it would destabilise the team. But because that's the only thing that you would maybe level at West Ham at the moment. They've obviously got Europe coming up. And it's
then Thursday nights. The
Thursday
night grind.
And then Sundays becomes a different matter, a more difficult game, doesn't it, after you've played Thursday, especially
got no depth.
That's the thing. West Ham at the moment, you feel like are a couple of injuries away from not getting these kind of results. But obviously, I hope that's not the case. They're fantastic, and every player. I mean, all the ones you just mentioned there, they're fantastic. Fornell scored a great goal last night as well, and they just look absolutely on fire at the moment.
The reason I read that review, by the way, is because I'm encouraging you to leave reviews, not a 1-star review, not even a 4-star review, a 5-star review. Please come and leave us 5-star reviews. Let me just read some of those 5-star reviews to keep up the sort of momentum of people wanting to do it. We've got a great show in store today. I mean, actually, we're doing a couple of shows today, aren't we? Because we're gonna pursue our goals to purchase a football club, a fan-crowded football club. We're going to be talking to some interesting guests over the next 2 shows. I'm not entirely sure when, because we're recording 2 consecutively.
Yeah, let's not pretend that next week's is a live show.
Next week's show, it's going to be a brilliant show. There's going to be brilliant guests on it, but we're recording them at once because I've got to go away I want to go away on holiday. But
I want to.
I want to go on holiday.
I think you are doing it.
Mega Kababa says, I love this podcast. Top content from Russell, Gareth and Jenny May as usual. I look forward to them being realised.
Wow.
Keep it up. Realised. What do they mean by that? Jenny, this is good that they've mentioned you, isn't it?
Yes.
Did you follow Norwich's result?
No, what happened was I was alive and then I thought I should check if Norwich are playing. They'd already played.
And what happened?
I missed the game.
But do you know what happened?
They lost.
Yes.
I was so sad.
You can't be retrospectively sad. Invest in Norwich.
5-0.
Yeah.
That's really bad.
It is bad. It is bad.
Tough start for Norwich.
Maybe it was good I didn't see it, because that would be just torture, wouldn't it?
Well, I suppose so. If you
actually care.
If you tally your emotions with Norwich's results, then it will. It doesn't seem like you're putting enough effort in.
I did feel slight disappointment.
Support Norwich a bit more enthusiastically. Go to Carrow Road.
Yeah.
I will if someone will bring me.
All right.
I think they're a great club, Norwich.
You've been to... Hold on. Before, I just want to read one more review.
Yep.
And then we're going to talk about your experiences this week.
Oh, I see.
Of actually going to a football match. I've got a breakdown of what I consider to be the week's football news.
I think I like your breakdowns.
There's a lot. But first of all, here's this from Sat. Fantastic, funny podcast. I was extremely fortunate and simultaneously unfortunate to go to the Euro 2020 final and witness one of the best atmospheres inside a stadium I've ever seen. But I also witnessed some of the worst parts of football that day. And on top of that, all the social media abuse after the game has made me fall out of love with the game. Remember, much of that social media abuse came from other countries, and remember that you could get out of it, ironically, by using xenophobia.
I thought this review was going to say and the atmosphere on this podcast is
hold on, I think this pod, remembering and discussing the good parts of football and why and how we fell in love with the game, is helping restore my love. Thanks, Russell and Gareth. From Gareth, but I don't think it's you.
It isn't me.
Because not only would that be fraudulent in its way, though I did review this podcast. I was the first to review it. Who better? Also, they say please buy Maidenhead United, and you wouldn't say that.
No. Also, I wouldn't have been so surprised by what had just...
Unless this is part of some scheme of yours. So leave us a review wherever you listen to. Football is nice. Remember that we want 5-star reviews, and send it around and share it with us, and let us know on Russell on my Twitter, Rusty Rockets, or Gareth Trues, is it?
It is, yeah.
Let us know what you want to see us discuss. We've got lots of topics. We've got lots coming up. But tell me, please, Gareth, what did you do this week?
Yeah, I just mentioned before we came on air, can we call it? I went to see Charlton at the weekend, who are not exactly my local team, but they hold a kind of special place in my heart, because since I moved to London, I suppose they became my adopted team. I've lived mostly in South London since I moved here, and been to see Charlton many times through the divisions, from the kind of Kirbishley days and them being in the Premier League to them finding them now in League One. It was great. Primarily I went there to kind of just be back at a football match and to just feel the energy again. Thank you very much.
Why did you do it? Where did you sit? Who did you go with?
I went with my mate Andy, who's he just likes to go to any sporting event. It doesn't even matter the sport, he'll go to anything. And yeah, we just thought it'd be great to get back into a live football game, and it really was. It was surreal, actually. It was surreal. Obviously much more intense than watching it on the telly. Back in with the fans, and having to kind of get used to.
Were you behind a goal?
Straight behind the goal, yeah, properly in amongst it with all the proper fans, with all the mad chants and everything.
Did you experience anything?
Absolutely.
Fear?
Yes, that was there. I mean, I'm quite fearful in any crowded situation.
I can experience fear alone in a small group with one other person or in a large crowd. Yeah. I've adapted myself to be able to have a continuum of fear available at all times.
Yeah, it takes very little.
But did you not experience the that sort of lull, that sometimes, not a lull in the sense of dip, but sometimes I get hypnotized in the crowd and I actually experience freedom?
What it was is, and this has been covered, and obviously, I mean, you would have talked about it many times, but obviously it's been talked about before, about men and how they kind of lose themselves in football. And as soon as I got there, we got there, we had a drink beforehand and contemplated the pies, which we didn't go for. But then, 10 minutes before kickoff, when it's pretty much everyone's in at that point, and the singing started, and the singing basically didn't stop for most of the first half. And what I thought to myself was, where else do typically men do this? I know obviously that it's like mixed now and kids are there and women also, but the majority is still men. And I thought, where do they, and hugging, that was the other thing, is there's like grown men kind of arms around each other, very tactile. And this might all sound a bit silly, but watching it and experiencing something that I'd not seen for a long time, obviously due to the pandemic, but also just in general life anyway. Where do people come together to behave like this, where you are allowed to stick your arm around, either a friend or even a stranger? And where do you sit these chants and these beautiful songs that they, beautiful and comical songs.
Any memorable?
There were some really mad ones that people chanted from when there was one bit where people got really annoyed with a linesman because second half they were playing Wigan and Wigan won in the end, and it's that amazing thing, isn't it, where home crowds can turn on a sixpence between supporting their team and singing all these anthems to abusing their own team, which they did, and especially at one point they turned on a linesman, which was amazing because obviously there was the referees are W and all these kind of things, but to focus just on one linesman, and then
you mean W as in the first letter of the word wanker, not a hotel in Los Angeles.
No, not that one.
Self-consciously cool, perhaps a bit tacky.
Although there were enough abstract references in some of the chanting. Mate, there was one bit where, well, the best one that I heard in the first half was when a Charlton fan took out a Wigan player, and someone behind me, I mean, it's the ferocity, how much power some of these men have got in their voices. The songs and the chanting that are normally instigated by one or two fans. And I don't know how they have that much power. I joined in to start with, because I always feel a little bit conflicted when I'm not a Charlton fan.
No.
So the first bit was like, I'm an imposter. I'm an imposter here.
It's adultery. It's football adultery.
So I had to decide myself, what am I happy with contributing to? And I decided it was just the clapping. I couldn't. You can't start singing Charlton. I'm a Hull City fan. I can't do that.
Reasonably, Hull and Charlton could play.
Well, they did last season. Yeah. Oh, you mean against each other?
Yeah.
Yeah, they did last season. We beat them, so that's good.
So it's like it's me. Like, say if you go, I like Barcelona, or something like that, or you know, I like Juventus. You could say, like when I think about foreign teams, I always think I would pick a good one.
I see what you mean. Yeah, you legitimately can support Juve
because it's not gonna. But although now with West Ham improving, it could become plausible.
Yeah.
But what? Tell me some of these songs and what that fan shouted.
So the fan when the Charlton player took out a Wigan player, one of these fans shouted behind him, one of the most vocal ones, and he said, "Put the C in a coma."
Oh my good God!
But
that's very aggressive.
It's very aggressive. So you're like, okay, right, I see what we're dealing with here. But there's something, it rolls off the tongue. It was kind of beautiful. Put the sea in a coma. And I kind of looked back, I thought, wow, okay.
It's poetic.
It's poetic. It's inventive. It's poetic.
You need a space. We must own the shadow.
Yeah, exactly.
This stuff has to be catharsized.
That's
what do you want people to hold that in?
That's what's happening.
You think that everyone in the world has got a part of them that feels put the sea in a... Yes, they do. You've got it, Jenny. Don't shake your head. Rage is part of the palette of human emotions. And if it's not safely expressed on the terraces at the valley, it could come out anywhere.
I completely agree, Ross. And I think that's the full spectrum of emotions you can experience and go through during one of those games. I don't want to sound overly profound, but it's like... There's the one aspect of the kind of camaraderie and the hugging and the singing, and then there's the other aspect of things going wrong. Suddenly, life is not working out as you hoped it would.
Look at what our review said. Not our review, it was our review, but what it said about the Euros. Like, oh, it was such a glorious day, the atmosphere was so wonderful, and then we saw all this terrible... Yeah, that's what happens.
Yes.
The sun casts a shadow. You conjure up that much energy, there will be consequences. It has to go somewhere. You can't live in some sort of anodyne pastiche fairyland thing that doesn't have... obviously we're not aspiring to a culture where people are mental and violent. Ideally what we want are safe forums in which those kind of things can be expressed and metabolized, and I think that's what you're describing.
I mean, obviously there's a sense of irony to it as well. That he's not literally... He doesn't literally want him to put him in a coma.
If he had some time, that man, and they said... You see this player for Wigan, he's got a family. And he's had to, actually, sadly, he was in a coma as a boy. So that's going to be, oh, sorry, I take that back. I don't want him to be in a coma now.
He didn't mean it, but he, expressed...
Also, the C word has got a lot of baggage. Yeah, sorry, no, I recognise all of that. But hold on, let me tell you about myself as a Charlton fan, says this guy. I've had quite a difficult life, as a matter of fact. Things haven't always been easy for me. And in fact, just this week, I'm experiencing a lot of things. I wasn't furloughed. I lost my job during the pandemic. Coming here is one of the few places where I feel free. Would you afford me the opportunity to express myself just a little bit?
Please?
Is that otherwise I will put you see, in another C, and that C is a coma, because I've decided that word is now in barcode.
Yeah.
Would they say that?
The other one was
linesman.
Let him die, let him die, let him die.
Oh, blimey.
I know, but again, I know it's dark. And
so
obviously...
operas are dark, aren't they? Think of the themes of an opera. You would know. You know about operas.
Well, yeah, a little bit about operas, but
aren't they dark?
they're of course they're all focused.
Operas are dark.
So many of them are focused on death, aren't they? Of course, requiems.
I bet there's a requiem. I bet there's lyrics like "Let him die, let him die" in an opera.
Of course.
Put the sea in a coma by Tosca. Isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously these are punctured by lighter. It's not the whole thing. Isn't just death and comas,
One time I was at West Ham in the season that under Glenn Roeder, God rest his soul, West Ham were relegated, and someone near me, and Adi Adepitan, who I was at the game with, shouted with such ferocity that it actually felt like see how language is an expression of an idea or an expression of some sort of emotion or whatever. It felt like the language was not an expression. It felt like it was the thing.
There was no code.
Yeah, it was no code. It's as if you was like, instead of going, I went on holiday to Clacton, I was actually able to make you experience a holiday in Clacton now with magic. He went, Rhoda, you see, you've killed West Ham!
Wow.
With such, saying it now, it's like when the Twin Towers went down. It's such whoa, this has changed everything.
Yeah.
When Rhoda died, God rest his soul,
no.
I actually remembered that moment, and I thought, poor Glenn Roeder, it can't have helped that you've experienced that degree of intensity.
No, I had to watch at the end when the Charlton fans, or some of the Charlton fans, turned on their team at the end and started shouting, "You're not fit to wear the shirt." When the Charlton players were coming over to applaud their fans. And obviously it's mixed, you know, there's still a section of the fans clapping them, but there's a section of them shouting, "You're not fit to wear the shirt." And I was like, wow, this is deep. And I don't know how I'd be able to cope with that as a player, just hearing that. But you must have to, of course. Every player that you hear doing interviews is like, yep, abuse is what drove me on. But abuse from your own fans must be difficult. Anyway, I'll just tell you about the linesman chant that I got to, because there was a point where I think Wigan at this point were 1-0 up, and the linesman, gave a decision against Charlton, and then really the sections of the crowd just decided to focus on him for like the next 10 minutes, and it was the usual kind of F you linesman and you're a C and all these ones, or you're a W and all these, and then someone shouted out, she doesn't love you, Lino. Your wife doesn't love you. Right, and so everyone else started, she doesn't love you, your wife doesn't love you, Lino. And then the next one after that, moments later, she's cheating on you right now, Lino.
Well, that's so good because they've dispensed with the cliches of...
Yes.
Sometimes I think when the sort of darker aspects of fan rhetoric are analysed, I think that these are not tethered to deep philosophical prejudices or bigotry. They are simply cliches.
Yep.
They're cliches, the first thing you reach for. So when someone does a little bit of extra work
That's right.
to move into a psychological attack on the linesman,
That's right.
Your wife doesn't love you, she's cheating on you right now.
And then it really caught on, Russ. It really caught on.
I'm not surprised. It's a
it was
brilliant
like
idea.
a Life of Brian moment.
Did it have a melody?
It didn't have a melody. It's just people were just shouting at anything that amused them. Because what you heard was you heard like a ripple of
this is good.
laughs.
No, I like this.
I like this. And then it got on to, she's taking the kids, Lino.
Because if someone shouted that at me,
Yeah.
I'd have to stop doing what I was doing.
But obviously at the same time you're watching this
So I have to run up and down,
follow the ball.
calculate these difficult judgments.
And he's getting, it's...
No VAR in the championship.
No VAR in the
it's
championship.
all on the lino.
It's on the lino, that poor lino. And then really abstract ones. Like, I definitely heard at one point, brush your teeth, Lino. Like, I don't know what that was connected to. I thought, are they now...
You've got athlete's foot that's not been correctly treated, and now there's a fungal condition in the webbing of your toes, Lino.
Exactly. It got very abstract, but extremely entertaining. And obviously, it really caught on. And at this point, it looked like Charlton weren't going to get in the game. I mean, it never looked like Charlton were going to be in the game anyway, to be honest.
Lee Bowyer left.
No, it's not. Yeah, he left. It's Nigel Atkins, former Hull boss. So there was a little connection there for me.
You could support him.
Exactly. I did support him, but he's going to need a lot of support this year.
One time I went to a Chelsea game with our mate Nick back then, because Man United were playing them. And I remember West Ham fans were angry with me that I'd gone to another game that wasn't West Ham.
Yep.
I'd actually shows the level of naivety, because I thought, I'm just going to watch this.
Yes.
And actually, I quite like watching a team that you don't support, because
Absolutely.
it's less
There's no pressure.
worry.
There's no anxiety. I mean, obviously, it was a tricky one for me because I wanted Charlton to win because I have a little affinity with them. There's Nigel Atkins. But Wigan are a northern team. So I was a little conflicted as to who I actually wanted to win.
Can I say this about Wigan?
Go on.
They prefer rugby. And I don't think any team or town that has another sport should be allowed to partake. Don't they? They prefer... Aren't they good at rugby?
Well, you
Wigan?
could say that about a lot of northern teams.
Who else?
Well,
they should all be struck off.
Hull are a perfect example. We're a rugby city, with two, top division rugby teams. And then we've got...
Two top division rugby teams? Out of Hull?
FC and KR, yeah. Played at the weekend.
That little place.
Shocked.
Little?
Why are you so devastated?
Because I don't think it's right. Choose one. Like me, married. I can't I'm married and also I'll do one. You're married to football.
Yeah.
And like the fans.
They're different players.
Well, they share the FC and City share the stadium as well. So it's Yeah, so often
Don't the rugby players churn up
they
the
do.
turf?
They do. It's
And don't they have to put a different
They
bit
do.
of white? And is it sometimes even there during a football
yes,
match?
that's right. Yeah.
Oh, no. I'm surprised they bothered to take that big
Oh, I'm
forky kick
sorry
over.
that we didn't get given a former Olympic stadium without paying the proper amount for
That
it.
stadium, Gal.
Cheating us all out of our taxes.
That stadium is far from adequate. You know that. There's that terrible running track gap, which the new consortium somehow say. Like, I heard them, like some bloke headed a consortium saying that the changes they're going to make if they take over West Ham.
Are they going to deal with that gap? Are they?
They reckon they're going to deal with the gap. And the bloke who was on there, and Simon Jordan, give him a good kick in, goes like, well, you've come on here, you're not being transparent at all, are you? Like, and he said this because he was saying, like, of course, you've seen what we did at the O2 with retractable seats. I'm like, they know that saying retractable seats to a West Ham fan, that is mother's milk. Like, the idea that seats could... Because when I went to that stadium, as you know, I went round it dressed as Willy Wonka to celebrate the Olympics.
Yeah, a fine performance.
Actually, yes.
Exactly what the Olympics needed.
The perfect closer to a perfect sporting ceremony. I've still got that top hat somewhere that I wore on the top of that bus. And then my kids, they just smash it about and stuff. And I think that was always the future for that hat. It doesn't, nothing matters, nothing is real. All things are just sort of travelling through sort of time and space.
That must have been a mad time when you were on top of that bus.
It was a scary mad time because I tore my trousers, as you know,
Of course you
just
did.
before I started. And I think Nicola, who was looking after me, or Shaz, I think it was Nick, sellotaped them shut. And I remember there being, you know, if you fold sellotape up, it can create quite a significant, good sharp corner.
Yep.
You can fold it up to almost be a weapon.
Yeah,
if you were in a
I'm sure some
prison
have.
or a prison film.
Yeah.
You could fold up sellotape to kill someone, I think.
Yeah.
And it was jabbing me upwards up into what I would call my testes. And that was a distraction. But I do remember thinking, well, if I'm singing Always Look on the Bright Side of Life, which was either, I think, a bit later in the evening or something, this is a good stadium and this will be good for West Ham. And it turns out that was initially wrong, but now seems like it's being turned round.
Well, it does, certainly.
Retractable seats would make a world of difference.
Retractable testicles.
They are actually retractable. They retract quite frequently. They should be entirely retracted, I sometimes think. All right, so that's we've covered quite a lot of subjects there, Gail. You've really given us an insight into Faz. Well, Jen, you look quite happy. You're enjoying this, right? It's good content, isn't it?
The football rugby thing is so funny.
Why?
He's angry, isn't
Why
he?
can't you have multiple sports in one town?
Here, because I don't like. It's not right. Wigan
Is it
pick a sport.
jealousy?
Is it jealousy?
So what
Is
did
it
you
because
think?
West Ham can't play anything else?
I don't want them to play anything else. It's not their job. Just play football to the solid standard that you're currently, excellent standard that you're currently achieving. Don't say it's their West Ham's cricket team. Stupid.
Fair enough.
This person, Robert_Jenkins, great review. Brand, can I have your winkle pickers, please? Gal, do you think this will work, this idea of mine? Or is
This
it too...
podcast.
There's no doubt about that. It's a masterpiece. But what about... All right, because I want Robert Jenkins to have my winkle pickers. Today, if you want, I could give you a pair of winkle pickers and you could leave them by a bus stop or something and we'll just tell Robert Jenkins where they are.
Hang on, what's this new plan?
My new plan is this. Leave things places. That's the plan, right? Leave things places and people get them. Treasure hunt. It's not that new of a plan. Scavenger hunt. I'll give you these winkle pickers. Then we go, Robert Jenkins. They'll be at New Cross Gate.
Hang on, I've got to take them now, have I?
Well, you're going into London. I'm assuming he's in London. He might not be.
I'm involved in this crazy scheme.
Robert Jenkins, Wigan, you keep your hands off of my winkle pickers. Well, don't you think my scheme is good?
There's always a scheme, and I'd never have that much faith in it, if I'm honest.
My schemes are good. Look at this scheme. After years of trying to get rich with get-rich-quick schemes, I'm finally going to get rich with this scheme, and quick. The Simpsons. I think I could give you winkle pickers.
Right.
You just leave the winkle picker somewhere, and I say, look, there's various versions, but one is we just tell people there's some winkle pickers.
At a bus stop.
Do you want them? Or there's riddle me this. There's the more riddler version. What? My first is in Merry, while my last is in Jam. You'll find these winkle pickers but not in West Ham. Right, and then that's the clues, and they have to find the winkle pickers. Find the winkle pickers, and you've left them somewhere en route to your house.
It's going to have to be en route, mate.
Yeah, I know it's a very special journey.
I'm very busy.
So I know you produce all of those videos that we make, our difficult, controversial. Isn't it ridiculous to think that we make those videos where we talk about like the war in Afghanistan,
Yeah.
talk about all these complex issues, we walk a tightrope, we talk about tech billionaires,
Yeah.
government policy.
When this is our actual
This is our
personalities.
personality.
I know.
Hiding winkle pickers at a bus stop in New Cross.
Yeah.
That's closer to
You've
who
already
we are.
given it away.
It's tricky.
Huh?
But which
you've
bus
given
stop?
it away.
What, the right warehouse?
You said New Cross.
Well, yeah, but it's all right. It's a big place.
Yeah,
Who's
there's
going to
lots of
track
bus
Gareth
stops.
down? And they won't do anything. They'll only say hello. They did track him
I
down.
haven't actually agreed to this yet, so
Anyway, I just think it's a good idea.
okay, mate. Yeah.
I could sign something. A winkle picker. This guy wants my winkle pickers. Why are you looking at me like I'm mad?
I think it's a euphemism. I'm worried.
I'll meet you, Robert. I'll meet you at a bus stop in New Cross, Robert, and you'll be well picked, my boy. You'll be picked okay, buddy boy.
Do you want to listen to some... Listen? Well, I guess I will say them, so you'll be listening. Tweets.
Go on, then,
We put
'cause-
out some really good tweets this week. I was chuckling away, and Jen was asking me pre-show what I was chuckling at, and I said, people are funny, because they really are.
People are funny.
They're very funny, and a lot of our listeners are very funny.
Thank you, listeners.
Yeah.
And thank you, Jen, for making a polite inquiry, because didn't Jen send you a tweet at Gareth at True's?
Yeah, I
Gareth
tried
True's?
to take part in the.
And what did you say, though, Jen? What was your tweet?
Hey,
What are you meant to do with that?
you can say
Just
hi
hey.
back.
Well, I don't
I'm sure
tweet
they'd
often.
be like, "Oh, look, the producers are talking to each other."
Yeah, but you've
Isn't
got
it like?
you've got each other's phone number.
I know.
Why
Yeah,
don't you
but
just say
because
hey to
it's the
there?
football is nice little community is on Twitter.
Hold
They
on.
can't see our messages that we send privately.
But Jenny May Finn, it seems to me then that you are somehow suggesting that your tweet is a form of entertainment, right? And I think
No,
that's
just
Gareth's
part of-
point.
It is.
No.
That if it is a form of entertainment, the word hey is not sufficient.
It's not.
Somebody liked it.
Well, I'd like to find that person. They should be registered.
They liked it. And then you could have said hey back, and then they could have all said hey, and then we would be a group of people
No.
that know each other.
Jen, trying to develop a culture around the word hey is insufficient. Look at the trouble me and Gareth have gone to. Gareth tells this wonderful story about the atmosphere at a football match and the ingenuity and oddness and hard edges of the things that are shouted at the Valley there in Charlton versus Wigan. I come up with a peculiar aspect of my nature that I don't like sports, towns to have more than one sport. We don't just sit here saying hey at each other.
That's
Do we?
I don't say anything else. It's
Jen-
representative of my role.
Well, that's true, Jen, and that's that's terrifying. But this morning you said to Gal, "What are you laughing at?" Did you?
Yeah.
And then I said, you seem to be having an emotional roller coaster response to this. Because he laughed and then he went, and then looked really like solemn afterwards.
No, it was more. I just thought, oh, human beings are great, aren't they? Sometimes
You are like Philip Larkin of Hull.
very similar.
You'll find the humour
used to-
and beauty.
He used to walk past our house.
I know, you've told me before, and I'll
Oh.
never forget it.
Right? Yeah. My dad would point him out.
There's Philip
There's
Larkin's
Philip
son.
Larkin. Yeah.
And you go,
I don't know who that is.
All right, here's the poetry of
Tell
Philip
me when
Larkin.
Dean Windass. Well, he wouldn't live round here. Okay.
Dean Windass is in the garden. He's drunk, I think. We love you, Dean. Dean was on the show, and
Love
I say
Dean
make
Windass.
Dean Windass a regular.
Oh, That-
Regular Windass.
yeah. Sign me up.
Yeah, well, we have. you're on board. You're fully on board. So go on then.
So some tweets. So
Take us on this emotional roller coaster
look-
ride that Jenny witnessed you being on.
we asked yesterday via Russell's Twitter, because it's the best one, because he doesn't get sent things like hey. And
I should see the things I do get sent. Hey would be a welcome respite.
we asked the question based upon a story that you told about Ravel Morrison giving you his shirt, you leaving it in a cab, then getting it back from the cab because you have a relationship with cab
Connected
drivers.
to cab drivers.
Yeah.
Support them. Support their rights.
Yeah, and so we asked listeners if they'd ever been given anything by famous footballers and what happened. Was there a story along with that? So we got quite a few tweets back. Sam Dochents said, "My old man got." There's a
Well, it's
song.
good to begin tweets with like the opening lyric of a famous song.
So some of them are focused on an actual item that the story's about, and some of them it's not that at all. So my old man got given a stern telling off by Chopper Harris for talking over him at a charity do. And what he's done with that is used it as social currency.
That's quite good that Sam was able to abstract our concept of what's being given. And Ron Chopper Harris, famous Chelsea defender, hard man of, I guess, like the 70s, I guess, maybe Ron Chopper Harris. And he gave a stern telling off. Oi, don't talk while I'm doing this thing. My dad actually played against Ron Chopper Harris when my dad was playing sort of like in sort of non-league, like, well, not even like young man person football around Dagenham and that, and played against Ron Chopper Harris. I think my dad said he did well against him.
That's a story, isn't it?
That's right.
I once played against Julian Lescott.
I know you did, because you and Gareth used to play football in Hollywood against sort of footballing stars.
Yeah, when we were over in Hollywood, what were we doing there? You were doing films, so we were just with you.
I was doing films, and you were doing things.
We were doing stuff.
Radio shows.
Yeah, stuff like that.
Helping me from having a mental breakdown.
There was
keeping
that.
me at that crucial level of enough mental to make money, but not so mental I couldn't make money.
That's it. It's a fine line. And so I don't know how it happened, but Jack and I ended up talking to someone who, I mean, this sounds ridiculous because it's me, but we ended up playing at Robbie Williams, who had a football pitch in his LA mansion, and he wasn't there most of the time. So, but groups of his friends,
full size.
It was 5-a-side. But it was, it was immaculate. It was fantastic, and it got to the point where everyone in LA who was kind of English, British into football, including Premier League footballers at the time, would gather there and play. And
amazing.
the mix of players at one point, the Julian Lescott we were playing against, Wayne Routledge, who's at Swansea, and they were playing. We were playing opposite them. It was absolutely amazing.
What did it feel like, and how big of a gap could they? Because this is off season, presumably, so not the peak of fitness. But what was it like?
And also that, they can't have been trying very hard. I remember thinking Julian Lescott was like a man mountain. That was there was one bit where I tackled him, and it was probably. It's up there in greatest...
A sliding tackle?
No. Just a standard tackle. It would have been because he wasn't actually that bothered.
You got the ball off him, you shielded the ball, and you successfully... Were you playing at the back?
I was playing at the back, yeah.
Did you successfully play a pass after dispossessing?
Yeah, I was over the moon with that. Wayne Routledge, because he's a forward, had ridiculous skills. Absolutely ridiculous. And to the point where you watch him and think, well, yeah, that's a different type of human. It was amazing, and he obviously Wayne Routledge has had a good career, but he's not been top tier, has he?
Who's that mixed race footballer that played for West Ham, Villa, and he was Norwegian, I think, and he's like
Josh King?
He's a forward. He was a forward, and I think he's Norwegian, and he was called...
Not Josh King.
No, he was round. He stayed at like Gabby, who used to work for us in Hollywood. Said, what was his name? John. It's sort of a bit like Sylvestra, but it's not. That
I know. Carew? No.
Yeah.
Carew.
Yeah. John Carew, isn't it?
Yeah, or Carew or whatever.
Yeah, I'm sure you're saying it right. Yeah, John Carew. He said, my mate says he once got punched in the face by John Carew, and he said it was like being hit by a car. So it was such a hard feeling.
Yeah.
And my mate, by the way, would probably have deserved it and annoyed John Carew. And also, who knows if this is true or not? Could be a complete lie.
Yeah.
And we've not said who the mate is, and it's very difficult to sort of get through this.
Yeah. So legally,
it's not slander against John Carew.
No, this didn't happen.
This is a fictional story, fan fiction. But anyway, he said he annoyed John Carew, and John Carew punched him in the face. He said it was... And my mate's actually relatively hard. He's a person that, would have a fight.
Yeah.
He's always having fights. But this one with John Carew, he said it was not a good feeling.
Yeah.
That being a professional athlete... I mean, there's not say Bruno Fernandes.
Yeah.
When I look at Bruno Fernandes, I think, maybe
I'd fancy my chances.
Bruno Fernandes, but say Wayne Rooney, no.
No, they're made of muscle though, aren't they? That's the thing. When coming up against Lescott, it was like this. It's impenetrable. It's just like a brick wall, and
so much in their bodies from when they're 7 years old. They're being schooled, educated, fed to operate in that space. That's how you wonder how the Arsenal defence is so shit when you think you've spent your whole life.
That's a lovely link. I mean, obviously they were up against Lukaku, who is...
You can't take a call from Matt at a time like this. We've got all sorts of things. There's Jenny holding up the word 45. Well, not the numbers.
Is that 45. Your shirt number?
45. Well done, Jen. Well done, Jen. Well done.
What were we saying?
You were saying we were saying Joleon Lescott, players learning. Oh, and Arsenal's crap defence.
Well, yeah. I mean, what did you make of that game then?
Well, like it seems like Romelu Lukaku has so effectively done exactly what he was supposed to do that why was he even allowed to leave Man United? And like it's just a person that's come in and just now I can score goals. I'm going to score 25 goals in the Premier season. I'm going to make Chelsea either win or come second.
Yep.
You know?
So, absolutely, like a kind of fantasy football type signing where you just go, clock, put you in there, and it absolutely fits perfectly.
The opposite of Timo Werner, who I always liked Timo Werner because when I played Football Manager, I used to get him when he was about 16.
Right.
And, he would always be really good for my West Ham team, and would score sometimes 50 goals a season across all tournaments. We were always in the Champions League in my fantasy world, and so when Timo Werner was eventually signed by Chelsea, I was like, oh, he's going to be really good. But then, and also he was obviously in real life scorer. I don't judge him solely on what happens in an app on my phone. He was brilliant in the Bundesliga, but why? He doesn't score goals, so. That does sometimes happen, but Romelu Lukaku, no. I'm not going to suddenly not do the thing that you think I'm going to do. I'm going to score goals.
Yeah,
now.
and I'm going to do it better than I ever did in the Premier League. I mean, there's there's been a lot of chat about over the various podcasts and punditry about Lukaku and how he's changed as a player. I don't know if you've seen the two photographs of Lukaku at United and Lukaku now at Chelsea.
What has he become? Much more fit and muscly?
Lean. He's He's about half the size.
So he's faster.
He's faster. He's leaner, but it's all.
What was the plan at United? You are going to be so massive, so hard.
Well, I guess that's the thing. He doesn't seem to have lost any of his strength though, but he has improved, as you say. Maybe his pace, his link-up play. And it just looked as soon. I mean, he scored within 15 minutes, didn't he? It was literally immediate. The impact was immediate. Suddenly, Chelsea, from already being a fantastic team with this, a wonderful squad, have now got the final piece of the jigsaw.
Also, what he did was, I think, that he that it was a back to goal turn. It's exactly what you expect and want from a strong centre forward.
Yeah, to the point where I think. The Arsenal defence received a lot of criticism, didn't they? For he's going to do this, so why are you letting it happen?
If I was an Arsenal fan, I wouldn't like that. Who's he called? Beginning with M, the centre back.
Mari, isn't it?
That just sort of fell over a bit, like he was trying to get a foul. That I would not like.
No.
Do I not like that? Jen, do a jingle. Do a jingle. If I was an Arsenal fan and Mari had done that...
Honestly,
no, Jen. No, Jen. That's how I love it. I wouldn't love it. The whole week she's not learned the colours.
Oh, fucking. Do I not like that?
Do I not like that when Mari falls over like that?
No, you wouldn't. Arsenal fans are furious at the moment, aren't they? Absolutely furious.
Are they? He's going to get sacked, isn't he? You can tell from the interview, I think, when you see a post-match interview, he said something like, we don't throw the towel in. And what I think that means is that sort of, because there's the layer of football that we as fans are aware of, right? That's what gets released. Then there's the sort of football underworld, isn't there? Like, say if my mate knows a person who knows a person, straight from the horse's mouth, that phrase. I worked out, do you like to work out where an idiom comes from? My wife used the phrase straight from the horse's mouth. I tried to think in my mind, where do you think that phrase comes from? Then I realised things like horse racing and betting have a lot of idioms around them, same as sailing and nautical things. A lot of idioms, learning the ropes, that kind of thing. Right, and straight from the horse's mouth, I thought, I bet what that comes from is people giving betting tips. Like, where did you get it? Oh, my mate works at the stables. Oh, my mate's a horse trainer. Oh, my mate's doing it. Da, 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 da. And this one's it comes straight from the horse's mouth. That's as direct a betting tip as you could get. And I looked it up, and that was it.
Oh, that's always satisfying when you've got it right.
It was it. I guessed it right, because I get a lot of wrong guesses, of course. For example, my guess that it was a good idea to leave a message on the answer phone of Andrew Sachs. That was an incorrect.
I thought you were going to say Ryan Reynolds. Because that was too.
And then another one. It's always the same. It's probably the Winkle Pickers idea ain't very good. That's what we'll probably find out. Now that'll be next, won't it? Yeah. Oh, Winkle Pickers.
In New Cross.
The New Cross Winkle Picker was out again last night. Well,
So you think he's getting the sack, Arteta?
I sadly do, because when I saw and I bet I felt when he said something like we don't throw the towel in, and I thought that what that was an indication of is on some level he feels like he wants to resign, that the pressure and then in a little bit of the match of the day analysis they were someone said something is it that they don't know what they're doing? Yeah. Is it that they've been told what to do and they're incapable of carrying it out? Yeah. Is it what is it? And I feel bad because I know from my own life I've experienced times of ineptitude and failure, personal failure, when you're trying to do something and you can't do it, when something's gone wrong that's been prepared. It's just so terrifying and awful. And I think they're in such an exposed position. They have to sit in that dugout, and just like the loss of dignity of a manager, because a manager is an authority. A manager is a de facto father. And like when you get new emergent types like Gareth, that's why it's good that Gareth Southgate's succeeding, because you think, oh, it doesn't have to be a bombastic, intense, like conventional, traditional alpha male figure that's built upon a sort of a ferocity.
Or even charisma, in a way. I'm not suggesting he doesn't have charisma, because he does, but he's not
sexy,
a clock, or,
I suppose.
You know,
yeah, sexy charisma. Because I suppose the fact is that there is a corollary between charisma and sexiness, because one would assume that the evolved function of charisma is to propagate the old species that we're members of. So yeah, so like Arteta, I feel for him, because also he came with that respect from City and everything, and like he's Klopp's right hand man and all of it. I'm not sorry, Guardiola's right hand man, and now it sort of seems like, oh no.
Yeah, I mean, Arsenal fans, they must have been excited. They thought they were getting basically Pep, the new Pep.
Yeah, like maybe even the brains behind Pep.
Absolutely, yeah. Like I remember at West Ham last season, I think we were talking when West Ham, when it started, they put a string of good results together, but Moyes was off.
Alan Irvine was managing, because Moyes was off with the coronavirus.
That's right.
And then we thought, uh-oh.
Is it Alan Irvine all along?
It's Alan Irvine all along. But then Moyes came back and it continued.
He did, and it continues now.
Continues still. As many wins only in this calendar year. Like, this is one of those made-up tournaments. In this calendar year, only City have won more games than West Ham in the top flight. So in that made-up contest of calendar years... calendar year. Stupid, isn't it? Gareth, we're going to be recording another episode straight away now, but I feel like you've really brought it to this... If it was man of the match, you'd get man of the match.
Oh, thank you.
Jen, if you was the most improved player, you'd get most improved player.
I think I've got worse.
We won't argue with that. No, Jen, you're brilliant.
Yeah, you're doing well, Jen.
And look at the signings you've made this week.
Oh, right, yeah.
Guests and all that.
Yeah, guess.
All right, well, listen, this is complicated for us because we're doing 2 episodes at once, but the fact is that was a very good episode. We don't even know fully yet what order this is, but I think that this is untethered from time, so let's have this episode out.
Agreed. And we'll be back next week with a proper episode reacting to all the weekend's football.
Or we would last week we did that.
Or last week we did.
Last week we did that. Yeah, that's it. What we've done is we've flipped the order. Anyway, this isn't your problems. Just keep tweeting us, stay in contact with us. We love you. And I would say go as far as to say football is nice.
It is nice.